Hello. Hey. Now we're in business. All right. Nothing makes you appreciate something like not having it. Good morning. Welcome to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Reverend Shari Woodbury, the church's settled minister. Whether you are here in the sanctuary or joining us online, I'm glad you have chosen to spend some of your time with this community for what I hope will be an uplifting service. We gather together each week to worship, which from the Latin means to remember that which is of worth. And so we ground ourselves again and again in our highest values. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It's a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It's a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we invite you to bring your whole self into this space. Visitors are invited to fill out a visitor form. If you're here in the pews, it's a yellow card in the hymnal racks. If you're online, you'll find a link to the online form below the service description on YouTube. And all are invited to subscribe to our YouTube channel and other social media. And when you see messages that resonate with you, feel free to share them with other people that you think might appreciate them. I have one announcement for you. This is from the nominating committee. Nominations are open. Every year, the nominating committee solicits input from the congregation to help fill leadership positions and select recipients for our annual awards. This year, the team has worked together to create an easy-to-use Google form to nominate members and friends. Be on the lookout for the link in the Friday e-news. And don't worry, paper forms are also available at coffee hour. The NomCom wants every member of First U to participate this year. Simply name someone that you think deserves recognition and/or someone that you think should represent the congregation as a leader. Thank you for helping with this. Our church occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Otoe-Missouri tribal nations, whose sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We'd also like to express our respect to other tribes native to our state, including the Ponca, the Winnebago, and the Santee Sioux, as well as many others represented in the metro area. Our aspiration is to continue to educate ourselves and support causes, charities, and rights of Indigenous peoples where we live. Again, welcome to worship. And for our song-filled service this morning, I'm going to invite you to join in a gathering chant as you are from your seat. It's number 389 if you'd like to open up the hymnal. We'll sing it all together once, and then I'm going to invite the side on the piano to continue on with William, and the side by the organ will come in on the second entrance, and you can do that with me. I invite forward Tessa Lance to light the flaming chalice. All together. Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. In these wild, historic, and uncertain times, we gather to remember who we are, who we belong to, and what we are called to do. As we share this space made sacred by our coming together, we kindle the spirit of the great turning, the movement for justice which is alive in our nation today. May we feel it in our bones, and in the stillness of this hour, may we sense it calling our names. I invite you to rise if that feels good to you, and joining in singing 1002 in the Teal hymnal, and you see the verses there on the slide.
Hi, this is our stewardship, our capital campaign moment. I think most of you know me. I'm the guy who gets up once in a while and talks about money. Our topic today is the capital campaign. As you probably know, we're nearing the end of the campaign. Next week will be our final week. We've done very well. We will be able to have the money to do everything that we set out to do, including a new roof here, a new roof over there, repairs to our windows, and eventually a new and improved elevator. But we still would like everybody to participate in the campaign. This will take care of our immediate needs, but we know we're going to continue to have needs, including the latest one identified, mold in our nursery. So we're going to take care of that too. But this is the time to make a contribution, to be part of this historic campaign. We're not going to do a capital campaign again anytime soon, so this is your chance. I'll be at the table downstairs. We have the materials there for pledging. You can pledge over time if you want, however it works for you. But be aware that this is not our only request for money this year. We have another campaign coming up right after this, when we're going to ask for even a little bit more money to run the church for the coming year. We do that every year. If you can only afford to do one thing, that's the one to do. But hopefully you can do both, and many of you have. So thank you very much.
Making this campaign a success. Each week, we practice our value of generosity by sharing with others through a community offering. Half of undesignated gifts are donated to a local cause, which resonates with UU values. If you're online or prefer to use your smartphone to donate, you can use the QR code. Our February Share the Plate beneficiary is Omaha Together One Community, also known as OTOC. OTOC is a local organizing group that empowers people to make their communities better. OTOC teaches people to become effective leaders, explore their legitimate interests, do solid research, and engage in sometimes tough, but always respectful public discourse as they hold elected officials accountable and create positive change through collective action. Thank you for giving generously as you are able. We share joys and concerns every week as a way of allowing our community to celebrate with us over the good things and support us in the hard things. I'll invite Colin to come forward. And while he's coming, I'll share one joy, which is that River Magisana, who had been in the hospital for some time, is home. Very happy to be home, doing well, and starting what will be a period of occupational and physical therapy. So we wish him well on his continuing healing journey.
From Elaine Wells, saying Terry Lynn Brewer is home from the hospital and recuperating from replacement of her right shoulder. She is doing very well and welcomes visits, calls, and food. Please call first. From Trisha Pyatt, saying my joy today is that my doctor cleared me for coming back to church today. I had some health issues and haven't gotten out much. I want to thank everyone for the text messages, phone calls, and lovely cards saying people were missing me, and for a lovely visit from Reverend Shari. I have missed my church family so much, glad to be back. Also from Patricia Pyatt and from Krissa here as well, saying, my concern today is that our dear friend Della Bynum has been under the weather and in hospital. She is hoping the doctor will release her soon. I am sure all of us wish her well.
As we hold these in the heart of our community, let us sing together a centering song. You've got it on your song sheet as well if you want to be able to look more closely. On the wings of this music, I invite you into a time of contemplation. You may want to gently close your eyes, make sure your spine is erect, make your hands comfortable. After a common prayer, we'll hold a time of shared silence, which shall end with the sound of a bell. First, I offer these prayerful words of Tess Bomberger. Love that liberates us all, today I thank you for our fears. For what we fear is the destruction of what we value, justice and the equitable treatment of all, pluralism and affirmations of interdependence, care for our earth, generosity of heart, and transformation of our spirits and our world. Thank you that we are afraid, because it shows us what we value. If the cost of safety is forsaking our values, may we continue to be afraid. May we lean into our fears and show up for our values despite them. Maybe take comfort in one another. Maybe take time to rest, to laugh, to dance. May we find beauty in a troubled world. May we feel and live the love which liberates us all. Amen. Shall we do There Is a Love one more time, the Weavers? For a moment, in the silence of this love, we rest. There is so much need now for our love and our loving action. Yet the fear and the overwhelm are real too. How can we find strength amidst the storms that are pummeling our nation and world? This morning, we'll hear wise words from people who have faced daunting challenges in a variety of times and places. People who know this space of fear and its too muchness. People who have been on intimate terms with political chaos or deadly neglect. People who looked for the opportunities in the crises unfolding around them. We begin with one of our own, Sharon Welch. She's a Unitarian Universalist theologian and ethicist. She happened to be the provost and a professor when I was in seminary, and shares the interest that I and many members of this congregation have in principled nonviolence and positive peace building. Welch's book, A Feminist Ethic of Risk, emerged from her experience in second wave feminism. Like many of us, I imagine, she had worked alongside others for positive change, only to watch progress recede. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, if we're lucky. Welch tackles a question that remains entirely relevant today. In the face of partial victories and continued defeat, how does a movement for a more just, loving society persist? How do we keep going? Sharon Welch recognized her social position as a white middle-class liberal. She understood that this shaped how she and others like her perceive of justice struggles. Social problems are complex. It can be confounding to figure out how to fix them, what to do about them. Combine the intransigence of the problems with a position of relative privilege, and the result, Welch recognized, is often a failure of nerve. She writes, "It is easier to give up on long-term social change when one is comfortable in the present, when the good life is present or within reach. It is tempting to despair of its ever being in reach for others, and to resort merely to enjoying it for oneself and one's family." To move beyond the cynicism and despair that sometimes accompanies individual good fortune, Welch turned to oppressed people, particularly women of color. She listened to their stories, their histories of change efforts, asking, how are they able to continue to resist generation after generation? Out of this exploration, Welch developed what she calls an ethic of risk. Her ethic of risk has 3 elements that make for effective, enduring engagement in social change work, even against great odds. The first of these is a redefinition of responsible action. How do we judge whether what we are doing is effective or not? Welch points to a collective, generational perspective. We will know our actions have mattered if they create the conditions that keep the possibility of change open. Not if we succeed in the short run, but if others can continue to build on what we have done. I find myself thinking recently about how long some of the things now happening have been in the making. There were groups who were dreaming about a takeover of the judiciary when I was young. I remember the so-called moral majority pushing back against inclusion rights for women and minorities and queer people. There are conservative think tanks and funders and political operatives who've been building movements and laying the groundwork for decades, many decades, to reach the point we are at now. The point where things that would have been unthinkable, that are taking away rights and that are more than chipping away at democracy and civil society, are finally happening. Those folks had patience. They had vision. I completely disagree with their vision. I have a very different set of values, but I see how they played the long game. Pete Buttigieg, a public servant I respect, knows something about this. He spoke movingly in a recent interview about planting and tending the seeds of change. His party took a beating in the last election, and he takes no pleasure in witnessing what the other party is doing now in office. But he knows that he is only able to be in this arena at all because people before him kept working at including more people in the political process, to the point that an openly gay man like Buttigieg could become a public figure, something that was barely imaginable to him when he was young. So he's going to pay it forward and keep doing the work that will make it possible for himself and others in the future to continue advancing inclusive values and building a caring society that works for everyone. I witnessed these examples, some I consider very troubling, others that inspire me, of people who took a long view. And I find the time scale of my own imagination and commitment lengthening. People who were on the fringes in my own youth persevered and are now implementing plans hatched way back then. So can I, who feel sidelined now, embody just as much stick-to-itiveness as they did for my own values and vision, so that when my daughter, who is now a youth, is someday middle-aged like me, all the things I want for society, for her, are being implemented? Can I stick with it like that? I think so. I choose to believe in that possibility and to work for it. I choose to embrace the first practice of an ethic of risk, making it possible by my actions for others to continue building on the values that I hold, the values that we hold as Unitarian Universalists. Here's the second element of an ethic of risk. It is firmly grounded in community. This community includes the people upon whose work our own efforts build, the ancestors of family and community before us that make our efforts possible. And it includes the community around us right now today. Because we all have limited perspective as individuals. It's only by making common cause with other people who have different life experiences than my own that it's possible to understand the problems and the solutions more clearly. In this vein, Welch writes, "Pluralism is required not for its own sake, but for the sake of enlarging our moral vision." We don't know what we don't know, right? By joining together with others, my understanding grows and I can act more effectively. For example, as a cisgender person, my perspective expands every time I listen to a trans person talk about their life and how they experience what is happening right now. And as a person who's fairly secure economically, I need the reality check of people who struggle to make ends meet, who feel left behind in our economy and society. I can't understand how to help build a society that works for everyone if I'm clueless to others' lived experiences. Community is also vital for sustaining ourselves over the long haul. We need each other to tend our own spirits. We need commiseration over setbacks and mutual support in daily life and celebration together of personal joys and of every small advance for the common good. All these things help make it possible to continue on facing the unknown, to continue acting in spite of our fear and our fatigue. The third element of Welch's ethic of risk is strategic risk-taking. No strategy is guaranteed to succeed, and any action we take entails some level of risk. We can learn from previous efforts of others, as well as from our own experience. And we can let that inform our future choices of how to resist oppression and work for a more positive vision now, what our next step will be. The three elements of Welch's ethic of risk weave together: redefining responsible action to keeping further action possible, grounding in community with depth of lineage as well as diversity in the present, and making strategic choices for what actions to take now, informed by past experiences. This ethic of risk contrasts with what Welch calls an ethic of control. An ethic of control shows up as an expectation that we should be able to exert effort and power and achieve absolute victory in a relatively short time. Such a mindset lacks patience. It lacks a sustaining network of relationships. It lacks the flexibility and tolerance of risk that are needed for real change. Ironically, in order to reach the partial victories that in time can be consolidated into meaningful change, we must hold our goals loosely. As Welch says, the challenge is to care and to act, although there are no guarantees of success. I think Gandhi was pointing to something similar when he said, "Full effort is full victory." It's a little slogan I've had posted up in various places for a long time. Full effort is full victory. He meant that one should gauge their effectiveness in social change more by the quality of the effort than by the immediate result. If we use right means, if we're grounded in our values of mutual respect, care for others' well-being, and a future in which we all have self-determination, then our efforts will be effective. Even if we don't see the fruit immediately and the fullness of time, it will make a difference. What does all this mean for you and me in the America of 2025? For me, it helps me to breathe deeply and know that I don't have to have it all figured out right now. I can tend relationships with diverse allies. That's important in the long run. I can be mindful of my own self-care habits, including feeding my heart and mind, nourishing, positive input, not getting overly caught up in negative news cycles. I can root myself in communities like this one, communities that can help sustain me over time, that help me stay grounded in my values, and that help me feel that I am not alone. And then I will choose which actions to take as I listen and learn and discern from among opportunities that arise. Because deciding what to do is not a one and done thing. It's something I will do over and over, along with tending my relationships over and over, and taking care of my whole self over and over, and plugging into communities of resilience and resistance. I don't have to know more than that in this moment. That's enough. I'm not unfamiliar with the ethic of control that Welch described. I recognize it from the inside. It would be so satisfying, wouldn't it, to have the solution, the strategy, the pathway to get this train of our nation back on the right track, or the left track, or whatever track you happen to believe is the correct one. And to have the power to make that happen. I mean, I have more power in other areas of my life. I'm a fairly fortunate person, but that's not how change works on a larger scale. An ethic of control is an illusion. Comforting, perhaps for a while, but ultimately an illusion. So I relinquish the idea that I can or should have some precise game plan and the power in my little life to make big things happen right away. If you want to shake that off too, you can do that. There you go. Okay, it's not on you to do it all tomorrow. Instead, I embrace an ethic of risk, one that puts love, not control, at the center. One that is built on relationships and on doing the next right thing, however small or large that thing may be. One that does not overestimate my power, but does not underestimate it either. Because each one of us really can be effective, especially when we work together with others and when we are resilient enough in community to persist over time. Can I get an amen? Are you with me? Yeah, all right. Well, just as you are, although it kind of seems like maybe you want to stand, I'll let you choose. We're going to sing from the Gray Hymnal, number 6. We continue singing with Strength Returns on your song sheet and also on the slide. You've got the actual notes on the song sheet. I'll sing through the first verse with Jay once so you can hear how it goes, and then everyone can join in as we repeat the 5 verses. I feel, oh yes, I feel, oh yes, I feel my strength returning. I feel my strength returning. All together. As you feel your strength return, let us rest together for a moment in the silent strength of this community.
All around us, worlds are dying, and new worlds are being born. All around us, life is dying, and life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree. The roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth, against a time when there shall be new leaves, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge. This is the extra breath from the exhausted lung, the one more thing to try when all else has failed. The upward reach of life when weariness closes in upon all endeavor. The incentive to carry on when times are out of joint and people have lost their reason. It's the source of confidence when worlds crash and dreams whiten unto ash. The birth of the child, life's most dramatic answer to death. This is the growing edge incarnate. Look well to the growing edge.
Let's rise to sing from the Teal Hymnal, number 1015, I Know I Can. Jay will play through it once before we sing verses together. And as always, feel free to listen until you'd like to join, and know that we're not aiming for perfect singing, we're aiming for authentic feeling. The following prayer, Prophets of a Future Not Our Own, was written by Ken Untner in 1979, but is commonly known as Oscar Romero's prayer. He wrote, "It helps now and then to step back and take the long view. The kingdom is not only beyond our efforts, it is beyond our vision. This is what we are about. We plant seeds that one day will grow. We water seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise. We lay foundations that will need further development. We provide yeast that produces effects beyond our capabilities. We cannot do everything, and there is a sense of liberation in realizing that. This enables us to do something and to do it well. It may be incomplete, but it is a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for a greater love to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end results, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are workers, not master builders, ministers, not messiahs. We are prophets of a future, not our own."
Oops, I'm sorry, I brought the wrong one. During the darkest days of the AIDS crisis, we buried our friends in the morning, we protested in the afternoon, and we danced all night. The dance kept us in the fight because it was the dance we were fighting for. It didn't look like we were going to win. Then we did. It doesn't feel like we're going to win now, but we could. Keep fighting, keep dancing.
You'll find the song "In These Hard Times" on your song sheet. If you haven't heard it before, I suggest listening once through as the choir sings the melody, and then you can jump in when you're ready, and don't mind if some folks jump onto harmonies after we get going. Life. We'll do Spirit of Life twice. We settle into our final silence. If you are so moved, if you would like to offer a neighbor a hug, I invite you to turn to that neighbor and hold your hands out like this. And if you're both holding your hands out, you'll know the other person also welcomes a hug. You don't have to. Let us rest one final time with the Spirit of Life and the Spirit of Love that is all around us here. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. But take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone.